So after covering The Boys last week, having that little nonchalant episode 4 drop, as well as being called once more to the lands between, specifically the Shadow Realm, where I thought I'd stand a decent chance, right? Level 206 over here, but was getting my ass whooped pretty quickly. Be honest, players, do I got that shit on, or do I got that shit on? I needed to recalibrate my soul for the better, not by, going to church or donating to charity, not really by making any positive changes within my community or to myself, but I did catch up on some of my adventures with Superman, and I'm feeling a little bit better soul-wise. Besides getting these awesome leaked set photos of Dave and Court's Wet Superman, which just this is peak right here. It just looks so damn good. We're getting peak next year, players. It just is what it is. We also got blessed with episode 6 in this second season of My Adventures with Superman. We're pretty much halfway through, players, and oh boy, the plot has thickened and twisted and
and spit on that thing
and whatnot. But in all seriousness, I can always look forward to this show being a good time, and so let's pick up where we left off. Episode 3, Full Metal Scientist, is essentially evil corporation Amertech pushes a product, these Metallo drones, and the power plant that they operate on that are unfinished and will explode, causing massive damage and casualties to fill the vacuum left by Amazotech in the first season. So Superman and John Irons, better known as Steel. Now, I'm familiar with the character of Steel, but since your boy has the legitimate excuse of being trapped in the Shadow Realm this weekend, as well as My Adventures with Superman dropping on Sundays, the day before the work week starts, I didn't have much time to read up on Steel, but the little tip I got for y'all is that his first technical appearance was in 1993 Adventures of Superman 500, but he was actually first suited up in Man of Steel 22, so just, you can start reading around there. He's one of the, I believe, 4 Supermen that picked up the slack after Superman died fighting Doomsday, but they eventually destroy the plant, thus destroying the drones, saving the day. Lois went band for band with Vicky Vale, reporter style, the whole episode in one, unlike myself, and gets a job offer, but in Gotham, further adding to the emotional conflict and weight that's been driving a wedge between her and Clark from the beginning of the season, basically, with the cliffhanger being Lex now owning Amertech and will be supplying Waller with these drones. We get even more separation between Lois and Clark as Task Force X has the general on the run, and so Lois pursues him, with Clark and Jimmy going to the Star Labs symposium after Jimmy got invited to speak. We get a lot of flashbacks to Lois's childhood, shedding light on her upbringing, alluding to a mother that has more than likely passed away, and illuminating the issues she's had with her father being around but never really there for her. It's hard not to feel for Lois after this one, so they did a really good job with that, especially with highlighting the friendship Clark has with Jimmy and how much they mean to each other, all for that to kind of be blown up in their faces with Task Force X following Sam and Lois to the symposium and just wreaking havoc. Of course, Lex was at the symposium giving his anti-Superman speech about how what if Superman chose to be against us and we couldn't do shit about it, so he needs to go back to where he came from. He was spitting some ice bars, and this leads to a very heartbreaking moment where Jimmy just dips from the scene and leaves Clark there. Lois confronts the general about his poor parenting and tells him he needs to stay, but he ends up disappearing by the end of the episode, and Clark just goes ahead and sends out the beacon for Kara already, and the episode ends with what I thought was a tease for Zod, and we find out in episode 5 that armored figure was not Zod but Kara the whole time, which I've heard this theory before about it being Kara, and I know I've gotten comments about this theory, so some of you players were right on the money. This whole episode basically revolved around Superman going on a dating game show, primarily due to it raising money for a kids charity. Turns out Superman has got that aura, okay? He's got that shit on. He gets a little peck from this D1 breed over here, which gets Lois in her feels, rightfully so. I got a bit of a Spider-Man 3 type vibe, but way less out of place or malicious. Lois has just been bearing a lot with her father and thinking she's really not worthy of being with Clark because he's Superman and she's just Lois Lane, so that insecurity just builds and compounds to a breaking point throughout the episode until she's about to break things off with Clark until Kara comes through. Now, the whole episode, Kara has been in just this amazing Android 18 drip and on one long ass date with Jimmy as he avoids talking to Clark about what happened at the symposium, and it's just cute as shit, okay? As Jimmy takes her to experience all Earth things, Kara is a true Sigma female, being that she is a fellow mint chocolate chip enjoyer, but she's just trying to find Clark, and when she does, she just blames him about being weak from his time on Earth, and so they scrap, and even though he unlocked Frost Breath, it ends with her getting the better of him due to her tech enhancements, and she takes him away at the worst possible time. Pretty wild way to end the episode. We get a sense that Kara is a bit reluctant in her actions, and is kind of being mind controlled by Brainiac, also alluding to she believes Brainiac to be her father and not Zor-El. We do get tiny bursts of the real, sweet, non-warrior Kara coming out, which which was nice to see. Now, in episode 6, we see Clark wake up and we see Kara trying to convince him that her conquering these planets for the Kryptonian Empire is good and show him what Krypton used to be and what they are working for. And so he shows her his memories from Earth, which just strengthens the weak allegations for her. But Clark finds she has a little bit of a crush on Jimmy going on, and I like just seeing how the little bits of Kara actually breaking through the whole warrior exterior. It feels like Clark is really going to show her the light. This whole first part of the episode is just pretty much catching up with your cousins during a family function type vibe. Then that phases out quickly when Kara takes Clark to one of the planets she thought was now part of the Empire, but was completely barren. And we see Kara's mind and memory has been tampered with to a greater extent than we even really thought before. Eventually, Brainiac brings them in, and it seems he was the one who found and raised Kara and implanted these things in her mind. Whereas when he meets Clark, he just makes him fight brain scan fallen warriors like this Green Lantern and a Thanagarian. He's just trying to make him a drone like Kara to expand the Empire and his rule. Kara starts to realize this, and she sets out for the different planets she visited, and her memories of conquest overflow her mind. But as she is overcome with this guilt and despair from wreaking so much havoc, the real ones, Lois and Jimmy, pull through in a ship with Mala and the Brain from last season. So we are in the beginning of the end of this season, and I really can't wait. I hate this boomerang head-ass Brainiac and his annoying voice, and I really want to see a nice uppercut placed right about here. And Clark was able to go Superman Blue again to beat the Thanagarian, so I'm curious to see how they'll explore that this season. I haven't read too much on Superman Blue, so I can't speak too much to it, but from my understanding, it's just one of those really weird 90s things. But overall, this show is still a really solid time. I like how they're circumventing expectations by really taking liberties with the source material. I figure you might as well at this point with Superman in animation, and why not with a character nearly 90 years old with so many iconic animated performances. I know we're going to be getting an amazing live action Superman franchise that will be true to the comics while balancing keeping things fresh and exciting, so I'm down for my adventures with Superman to keep experimenting and going for the weirder stuff from the lore. Also, I'm really liking Kara's suit design, and I know she's going to get a more true to form suit later on, but this suit goes hard. Again, I don't think the action is quite there for me, truthfully, but the emotion and relationship dynamics and the overall story being told really make up for any potential flaws in my opinion. So my adventures with Superman stays at a fluctuating 7.5 to 8 out of 10. It's wholesome, good Superman fun. I can't wait to see how they dismantle Brainiac, where the whole crew ends up by the end of the season, and who the next villain is that they'll tease for season 3. But again, let me know what you've been thinking about it so far, players. Any predictions for the finale? I'm all ears, but that's pretty much it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I will see you in the next one.